Two hostages have been released by Hamas militants. They have been reunited with their families. Two women were freed for compelling humanitarian reasons, followed by mediation by Qatar and Egypt. They were taken to the Rafah border crossing between Gaza Strip and Egypt. This is days after two American women were freed. Now, there are also conflicting reports that are coming out that Hamas will release 50 hostages who have dual citizenship, but there are questions being raised regarding whether they will be released or not. Over 5,000 people have been killed in the Israel strikes on Gaza. And to get more on the details about the two women who have been released. These are two hostages that have been released, of course, the United States, and are definitely, they are in talks with the authorities there, and welcoming that move made by Hamas there. They have released two citizens. These are two Israeli citizens who have been, these are women, senior citizens who have been released. We have Ghazali joining us. Ghazali, two hostages have been released, taking the total number to 4. How many hostages are remaining? And if you can take us through, the details of these two women who have been released. We do know they're Israelis, but do they have dual citizenship? How old are they? And, the grounds on which they've been released.
Okay, so these two women, as per Hamas, were already being offered to be released. Hamas, day before yesterday, had claimed that we want to release two women on humanitarian grounds, two hostages on humanitarian grounds, and Israel is not accepting it. This was the statement of Hamas just a day ago. And yesterday Hamas said that we are again offering to release two women on humanitarian grounds, and these two women stay right close to the Gaza border. This is exactly the place where the assault happened, or attack started on the October of 7th. And one of them is 79 years old. The other one is more senior to her. Their medical condition was said to be stable when they crossed the Rafah border and entered into Egypt along with the Red Cross members there. And before their release, the total number of hostages were around 222 as confirmed by the IDF. But these numbers also keeps fluctuating, also because IDF is still in the process of confirming, because every day if they're getting a new input, they update their data, they update about the information that how many people have been taken hostage by the Hamas. Now, after the release of these two ladies, what we are picking up is there is still 10 US nationals, or those Israelis with dual passport having US nationality, who are in the captivity of Hamas. And perhaps Mr. Joe Biden and the entire US administration has been putting pressure on Israel to sort of delay the ground invasion into Gaza, because Hamas, Egypt, Qatar, these are the three parties, and some ex-IDF senior officials are involved in the negotiations which led to the release of these two ladies. And perhaps this is what was promised to Hamas, or this is what has been promised to Hamas, that if you keep releasing the hostages, the ground incursion or the ground invasion will be delayed till then. Hamas has been putting their statements out saying that stop the aerial bombing into Gaza Strip, and that is when we will release everyone. But this is just a tactical, or you can say a psychological warfare as well, because Hamas keeps saying that we'll release, like yesterday the reports came that they're going to release 50 hostages, but only 2 were released. Why the rest of them have not been released yet, it's still unknown. We can't trust the Hamas statements, but there has been intense negotiations which has been going on between Middle Eastern states, the US as well as Hamas. But
Ghazali,
it is expected
like
that
you
maybe
mentioned,
more hostages will be released soon.
Like you mentioned, there are conflicting reports suggesting the release of 50 hostages that have dual citizenship. Any confirmation regarding that? And of course, there are many questions being raised given the fact that Hamas is reportedly asking for fuel in exchange for the hostages.
Yeah, see, I'll tell you, there are a lot of things happening in and around the Gaza Strip. Yesterday, when these two ladies were released, were handed over to the Red Cross people, and then they moved into Egypt via Rafah border, and from Egypt they were moved into Israel through another crossing, through another border. Meanwhile, there was also a clash between Hamas terrorists as well as IDF soldiers, who are every day trying to get in to just test the nerves, to clear the entrance there. So meanwhile, while the hostage were being released into Egyptian territory, this clash was also happening between the IDF soldiers as well as the Hamas terrorists there. Meanwhile, you're right that Hamas has been asking for fuel, has been asking to increase the number of 8 trucks which are lined there near the Rafah border in Egyptian territory. So hectic negotiations are going on. We don't know that what sort of arrangement, what sort of negotiations are going on. There is another factor which many foreign experts have highlighted, that IDF is going to fight or is going to assault Hamas in coming days, yet Israeli government is also negotiating with Hamas. Maybe the front is the US government, but certainly it's about the hostages which is for which the negotiations are on, and it may impact the morale of IDF, though negotiations between Israeli government and Hamas has gone for so many years in multiple different conflicts in the past. So right now the only demand which Hamas has been putting it to halt the aerial bombings, because the bombings have been going on since 8th and 9th of October. It's been 10 days. There has been multiple casualties there. And it is also, the humanitarian crisis is really big, as many UN organizations and many other humanitarian aid organizations have highlighted. But as of now, the big point is the 2 hostages have been released. When the next lot or why the data of 50 hostages was shared by Hamas is not yet known. But negotiations are on. US, Egypt, Qatar, and even ex-IDF officers from Israel who have been part of certain negotiations, and many other ex-diplomats from different countries are involved in this. Because when 2 other mother-daughter duo were released, the first 2 hostages who were released by Hamas, it was the credit went to Qatar that they have mediated it, but this time around Hamas as well as Egypt have said that they have also mediated. So hard negotiations are going on for the release of hostages. Till then, it has been promised, or it has been suggested by Israel, that ground invasion will not happen.
Right, conflicting reports there regarding the release of more hostages. Also conflicting reports coming out yesterday about the fuel trucks entering Gaza. So we'll keep getting more on that. Thank you so much, Ghazali, for joining us.